Hi guys, so I'm here with my model Stancy, is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. So we're gonna be kind of winging it today. I just wanted to work with different complexions and showcase my work. So my beautiful Stancy is here with me and we're gonna do an amazing, maybe cat eye vibes I'm feeling because her eyes are so cat eye love. So let's get started with skin prep. I'm going to be going in with my fast response from MAC, and that's this little one over here. This just helps any puffiness, fine lines under the eyes, and it's quick acting. So if you like have a wedding or an event, this will like really help. And Stancy has nothing on her skin, it's clean, so we're just going right ahead with skin prep. I'm using a really light texture when applying this with the brush because, as you know, this is a really sensitive area on the face. And then we're going to go in with our moisturizer, and as you guys know, again, I love to use my MAC strobe cream, and this is in Peach Light. I feel like this is a tone that goes with every skin tone, so even if you get the other ones, I still feel like this is a pretty good staple to have in your kit. And I'm just gonna apply this with a foundation brush just to really help that luminous finish pop on the skin. I feel like when you apply it with your hands, it kind of, the luminous finish kind of disappears. So we wanna really like apply this with a brush just to get the most out of this product. So a little bit more on the high points over here, I'm just patting that in just to give it a little bit more of an intensity. And this will settle beautifully into the skin. So I always use my Eucerin Aquaphor, and that just keeps the lips hydrated during the whole process of the makeup. We don't want the lips to dry out. Even if you're going to be doing a glossy lip or a matte lip, doesn't matter. Just always hydrate the lips at the beginning. And this will kind of just disperse into the lips, and by the time you're ready to apply your lipstick, it will have already, you know, gone into the lips beautifully and moisturize them. Now I'm going to go in with this Becca highlight. Well, actually it's a bit of a mix. It's a highlighter and a primer, and it's called Becca Backlight Priming Filter, and you can see it's got like a really beautiful glow to it, really shiny, glowy. So we're keeping within that theme because Stancy has such an amazing skin, so we can really work with like beautiful highlighted products. Again, just using the same brush I applied the foundation, the moisturizer with. Don't overdo a primer, so you just want to use like about a pea-sized amount, and then disperse it all over the face evenly, around the nose. Yeah, just always get into those little nooks and crannies that we forget about. So as you can see, her face is already looking nice and dewy and glowy. You can have you see there, it's picking up beautifully already. So as you guys know, I like to start with the eyes first and then finish off skin later. This just helps me when cleaning up beautifully on the skin. We don't want a lot of fallout on the under eye, especially when you have concealer on, then it basically ruins the concealer. So we want to do all the skin type thing at the end. So we're going to start by priming her eyes, and I'm going to use this P. Louise shade, and this is a base, and it's Rumor 5. Get it? There you go. So this has got a really creamy texture and picks up shadows quite beautifully. So it's really great like if you want your shadows to pop. So you can see this is quite much lighter than her skin tone, but this is just really going to help everything pop. So I like to start really close to the lash line and then pull it upwards. So you can see I'm like sort of patting this in just to set the product. As these are really creamy, you kind of just want to pat this in. So you can see I'm building it slowly from the lash line all the way up into the brow bone. These are not my super favorite bases because you have to work them in a lot. So if you have time, it's great, but if you're running on a short time frame, then you actually want to use something that's a little bit more friendly. I'd say maybe the MAC paint pots, they also work really great. I usually tend to set my bases, but because this one's quite creamy, I'll very lightly set it just to be able to have the shadows move better. So you just want to make sure that it's set well, just to prevent like any heavy creasing or oily eyelids. So if you have a brow that's very thin or that you need to fill out, rather do that. I'd suggest rather doing that first so that you can get a really nice frame for your eye and your face to work with. Okay, and now I'm gonna lightly set that with my RCMA powder. This is like a holy grail product for me, a staple kit product, because this sets beautifully and it doesn't transfer color. So we want to lightly just set this base. I know P. Louise suggests that you don't, but I just feel like I can't not set a base. I feel like it needs to be set. Okay guys, so we're continuing on with the eyes. The last thing I did was just set her eyes, and now I'm going to go in with this Morphe 350 palette. Looks like that. Lots of neutral shades in here, so it's really great for everyone, and also just like bridal work mostly, but this is a staple in my kit as well. And we just want to start with transition shades, which is for me like really important when working on the eye. You want to create blending and soft lines. You don't want any harsh lines, so this will prevent any harsh lines coming through. So it's a tapered brush like this, and this is from Inglot, and it is a 6SS. One of my favorite brushes for applying a transition shade. So we're just working that back and forth into the eye. And if you just open for me, you can already see that we've kind of taken away that base shade that was there. So this is warming up her eyes nicely already. So I'm following her natural eye shape. If you have an eye like this and you want to create more of a crease, just go a little bit higher. It even works better when the client or model is looking down, then you can really work with where you want to place the crease. This is a Zoeva, and it's slightly smaller than the one I just used, and this is a 221 Luxe Soft Crease, and we're going to go in with like a brown shade, something with a little bit more of a cool undertone, I'd say, that's in the palette. And we're just applying this to the outer corner of the eye and bringing it a little bit in towards the center, working this into the lash line. So we're just darkening out the eye here and going over that transition color. So now the transition color is acting as a backdrop for the darker shade and not leaving that harsh line. So I'm pulling it out nicely because she has beautiful eyes. So we're going to pull it out almost into her temple and then bringing it in here just to create more of a crease. So I'm really loving that this color is picking up in a cool tone, because when we work with the black eyeliner, it's going to assist in keeping those tones all cool. So I don't want to go for too much of any red undertones or orange undertones, so we're just sticking to that transition shade being a reddish undertone, orangey undertone. I'm just going to show you the color that I'm going to go into now. So I'm going to go into this shade for the lid. I've kind of just mixed these browns together for her crease, and then I'd say that was my transition shade. So we're just playing around with colors. You don't have to like be super strict with your shades, just know what kind of look you're going for and then stick within those specific tones. So I'm just pushing this into her eye. Oh, actually this is a little bit of a shimmer tone, yeah, got going. So when you want to place color, again, a flat brush like this will help you do that. This is a MAC 239, I believe. So I'm going into a little bit of a matter shade now, just to mute this a little bit, because I don't want it to be like super metallic. And you can see I'm doing like a little bit of a soft cut crease here. I'm just softening this up because I don't want like a super defined crease here. I want it to be like a little bit more romantic. So we're gonna just soften this up here. Okay, so you can see that we're pulling her eye outwards and keeping within that natural shape of her eye, and then just keeping the light in the center of the eye so that it's a little bit brighter, a little bit more open, and it's not too closed off. So I'm going in with a MAC Feline pencil. I actually don't know if it's gonna show up. There you go. So this is a really nice kohl to actually smudge on the eye. So if you want to use an alternative to liquid liners, this is a really great alternative. So if you can just close to me, and I'm going to pull up our eye a little bit just to get in there. And we are just literally, this glides on really easily, so we don't need to tug at the eye too much. I'm pulling a little, extending a little bit outwards just to pull her eye out a little bit more. And we are going to go in with a flat brush. So this used to be a 239, but I kind of like my really old brushes because they get into a shape that I actually work with really well. And this will create, again, a nice backdrop for your lashes. And because she's got really beautiful lashes on right now, this will just intensify them as well. So again, this depends on what kind of effect you're going for. If you want something really intense, you can make this really dark, or you can just keep it pretty minimal. So I'll literally go back in with some of my darker shades, just to keep adding on to the look. So I'm going in with that same dark brown, and I'm just pulling this out again. And as you guys know, because I love to create like super minimal skin, we can always intensify the eyes a little bit more, because we want to keep that natural, youthful look to the skin. I wouldn't suggest, for me personally, I wouldn't suggest going like super matte or something like this, because then it's just, it goes overdone. Okay, so now I'm going to go in for her brows just to shape and fill in any sparse areas, because she already has beautiful brows. We don't need to do much. And I'm going in with my trusty Precisely Benefit brow pencil, and this is shade number 4. I don't like to do too much of a dark shade. I love to keep brows super natural, super, you know, not Instagram brows. So we're just adding a line here. So I like to start by sort of creating the shape by lining the brow here, and then we can just push up the product and fill in. So just creating some structure to the face. And here in these little sparse areas, we're just going to add lightly. And then towards the front, I like to keep it super light. So holding my product towards the end and then pushing the product up into the brows. And this creates like a softer finish towards the front. And then what's nice about this is dual ended. So we can use the spoolie at the back to just push in the product. So this is already giving a little bit more shape to the face. As you can see, this side is a little bit more sparse. So this fills and frames the face beautifully when it's filled in. So most of us have the issue where our brows stop sort of there, but to pull this eye out a little bit more, it helps to bring this product down here and just round it out a little bit here. Now what I like to do as well to keep the brows in place all day is set this with a powder. So my trusty RCMA powder really keeps the brows on all day. And now just lightly gonna go in with my concealer palette. So this is a nice palette to use for a variety of things. So this is the MAC Pro Conceal and Correct palette. This is the dark one. So it's got like a variety of shades, cool and warm. This also can be used for under eyes, can be used, some people use it as foundation even. And I also like to use it just to clean up under the eye a little bit. So I'm using the shade NC50, and I'm using a flat tiny little brush like this. There we go. And this is a Morphe R43, so I love using this for under the brows. Don't overdo it because we do not want halo brows or Oreo brows as most people call them.
Hate those.
Oh no. Just kind of gives you like that freshly, looks like you've just got your brows waxed. Just want to soften this line a little bit by pushing this product in. We're going to move on to skin, and I'm going to go in with some Crayola shades. These are just really manageable in terms of most skin types. Tones, there's a lot of tones and shades in their range, cool and warm. So I've got basically the whole range here, as you can see. And I'm kind of working with the deepest shades in this range. What's nice about this derma color is that you can actually mix them. So if you feel like your client or your model has two tones, you can play around with that and mix the shades in. So I've kind of just already custom her color here. This is a little bit darker, so I'm going to keep this towards the outer edges of her face. And remember not to forget about the ears, because I feel like quite a few people actually forget that the ears need to also be covered up. And then also going into the neck as well. So just keep everything even and soft. So I always like to work with a darker shade towards the outer sections, or where there's a little bit more pigmentation. So around the mouth, you want to correct that. And then we also tend to be a little bit darker here. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of a darker shade there as well. So because her skin is so clear and beautiful, I'm not caking her skin at all. I'm just lightly creating like a veil of color to her skin, keeping it natural as possible. In the center of your face, sometimes you're a little bit more yellow and you want to pick that tone up. Guys, I'm sorry, I like to use the back of my hand because it actually warms the product up really nicely. So what I like about the derma color is that it blends quite nicely. So here where she's a little bit more lighter, I'm picking that shade up to bring light to the face. And I love these kind of brushes. They're really fluffy. These are from Makeup Boutique. I use this a lot for concealer and foundations just because they blend the products really beautifully. And I like to work with like really small brushes for the face, especially when it comes to foundation and stuff. And then I'm just going in with a clean one. It's pretty much the same, it's probably a little bit smaller. And just softening any harsh lines. So guys, we just went off camera because my battery decided to play me and die. So I basically just went in and concealed a little bit, keeping in with those cooler and warmer tones where necessary. And then we added a little bit onto her brows where maybe some product came off. I've set it with the RCMA powder and a bit of soap. And then we've also added the baking. This will also just help bring those lighter shades through to the front, and yeah, just make it look a little bit more natural because we don't want one tone, we want two. So I'm gonna go in with some highlights now. So this is gonna be a really simple finish to the skin, lips and cheeks and highlight, and we are done because she's already got some amazing lashes on, so we don't even need to bother with that. So I'm gonna mix shades, but I'm keeping this in a C shape around the eye to bring forth light again. And this is the MAC Cheeky Bronze. I'm not sure if they still stock this, but Flormar also has some really amazing ones. And I'm going in with this 105 Luxe highlight brush. I love this because it creates a soft highlight as opposed to a very definite highlight. bringing it into the brow bone a little bit, and then come this way, go to the other side. So I like to do the highlight first and then do my blush, because then it softens the highlight as well. And now I'm going to go in with my Flormar, and this is rose, it's called rose gold, but it's got a very like yellowy undertone to it. Number 27 rose gold from Flormar. And this brand is definitely available in SA as well, so they have some amazing stuff. What this is going to help do is create more dimension. So because we put something that had more of a rose gold underneath, and then putting the gold over, gives more dimension to the skin. So we're going to put some over here as well. And now I'm going to go a little bit over the brow, because this brings out a beautiful highlight, especially during the daytime, or if you're going out to the club or something. This just gives more dimension to the skin. Slightly a little bit over the nose, because you don't want the nose to look oily, so we're just doing it ever so slightly. A little bit here. And then I'm going to bring some over the brow bone. So keeping everything else matte on the eye, but then just bringing this pop here. And then a little bit on the inner corner as well. So I'm going to go in with a mix of Raisin, and that's from MAC. And then we have this one as well from MAC, and this is Loudspeaker. So generally I love to use my MAC products for cheeks and lips. And then we're going to go we'll dust the bake off later. This will just keep in with those sharp lines, but when you dust it off later and you apply this product, it kind of softens that line, but you can still see that there's definition. So I'm bringing this into the apples of the cheek and into up here by the hairline, because you want it to flow. So sometimes I even go ahead and put blush up here because you want everything to flow. So we're just bringing this in through here. I like to bring the cheek color a little bit high, because I don't like to see those definite lines between where the concealer was or the powder was. So we want to make everything look soft by bringing this up. And then what I like to do as well is just bring a little bit of a pop of pink on the cheeks, almost like you've just pinched your cheeks. And I just keep this pinky shade towards the center. And this is Dolly Mix, also from MAC. There we go. Now we're going to dust this bake off. Fluffy brush like this. This is actually from Switch Beauty. There is no number on this, but just a plain black fluffy brush. So I'm just lightly dusting this off. And then when you apply your setting spray, it will also help soften this all up. And then we're going to go in with the lip color. So now that her lips are nicely moisturized, I'm just going to take a tissue and lightly blot off any excess that may be on there. I'm going to go in with Chestnut and Stone. So Chestnut has more of a red undertone, whereas Stone has more of like, I'd say, a gray undertone, so it kind of contours the lip. And these are also from MAC. So I'm going to start with Chestnut on the outer section where it's a little bit more darker, and then we'll pull in Stone towards the center where it's a little bit lighter. So now I'm going to go in with Stone and just soften this line here with the grey undertone. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with a favorite of mine. This is Naturally Transformed from MAC. I love this because it's got more of like a yellow undertone, and I like my nudes to have a yellow undertone. So I'm going to lightly use a pencil because I don't want like a definite lip. So I'm going to just lightly use this little brush, also from Makeup Boutique, and dust this color on more towards the center. And now for the final seal on the lips, I'm going in with this Dose of Colors. This is from the Desi and Katie collection. This is Over the Top. I actually got gifted this from Makeup Boutique. And it's a really amazing color. Kind of has these little gold reflects in, so it picks up beautifully. So super natural. Because the eyes are quite intense, we're going to keep the lip toned down. And our last and final step is our max. Our last and final step is the MAC Fixler spray. This is my go-to for setting makeup. There is a lot of primer waters on the market, but I still feel like this is the best. You can have a close your eyes for me, and then I know it seems like a lot, but it just, once it sets into the makeup, and it kind of looks like the makeup has been lived in. And there you have it, guys. This super luscious, smoky, sultry eye with minimal lips and beautiful skin. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and catch me next week for another one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Testing 1, 2.
You know those people that always do their videos where they go,
Hi guys! And welcome back to
welcome
my
back to my
YouTube
YouTube
channel.
channel.
Today,
Oh my god. Who is she? She is me.
Beyonce, who?
She's just baking.
We're baking.
Work the face. Let's see this angles. Angle. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
pose,
Yes. Strut.
I'm giving you model, I'm giving you blogger, I'm giving you influencer.
Cosmetics come through.
Yay! Hallelujah! Hallelujah!